What's next doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by chance. What's next happens when experience meets expertise, when data meets dollars, and when steel meets earth. What's next happens when the promising work of Pioneer state-of-the-art research centers meets the unsparing challenges of more than 17,000 on-farm trials. Our ultimate goal is to bring the next seed breakthrough to your fields, because Pioneer isn't just our name, it's our mission. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
This episode of the RealAg Radio podcast is brought to you by the BC Centre for Agritech Innovation at Simon Fraser University. Are you ready to grow your farm business with cutting-edge technologies and innovative solutions? Our centre will drive you towards an advanced future. Get the investment, expertise, and support you need to test and develop your products or ideas through our Agritech Development Program. Google SFU Agritech Innovation to learn more.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. Hey, thanks so much, everybody, for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your workday. And, of course, as always, a big shout-out to everybody listening out there on the RealAg Radio podcast. Well, it's Thursday, which means today is the Farmer Rapid Fire. And the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. For more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges. With new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist E3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximize your yield potential. Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. I want you to visit this because, you know what? This has been awesome to have Pioneer Seeds Canada as the sponsor. I want you to visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. And if you're listening to us on SiriusXM in the U.S., hey, check out pioneer.com. Why not? Absolutely. This all applies to you as well. So big thanks to Pioneer Seeds Canada for being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Today's list of farmers, we're going to talk to Jeff Nonay out in Alberta. We got Kevin Buchner in Ontario. We've also got Ethan Wallace, who's in Ontario. We've got Kris Marley in Saskatchewan. And we're also going to talk to Paul Hermans today, who's an agronomist with Pioneer in Eastern Ontario. If you have any feedback on today's show, you can definitely send me an email. shaney@realagriculture.com is my email address. Or, of course, you can always find us across any of the social media platforms. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel included in that and you subscribe to it. That way you don't miss all the great videos and live streams that we're producing on a regular basis. You also, the other opportunity there is to call the RealAg feedback line. Now, the number is 855-776-6147. And love to hear what you have to say on a number of different topics. And, you know, before we get to the Farm Rapid Fire, I just want to say, like, this whole issue and essentially some people have called it the weakening. Some people, I've referred to it as like a neutering, a spading of 234. This is the bill related to the carbon tax. It is really distasteful. I wrote about this last week. I think the government has shown disdain for our industry. Like, what emissions are we saving by saying that we need to charge a carbon tax on barn heating? It is just ridiculous. I continue to have this feeling or this sentiment in regards to this, and I think farmers should be really, really outraged. Yes, commercial grain dryers were left out of this bill. The reason for that was to get the Greens, the Bloc, and the NDP on side to make this a real bipartisan effort. And I think, they wanted it to be a bipartisan effort because it really shows the Liberals are so committed to this carbon tax and so committed to really punishing farmers when they don't have other options in terms of, like I've said before, solar powered grain dryers, for example. It really, really is, it's very clear. It's very disappointing. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to get to the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
It is time for a product spotlight. With me now, I've got Tyler Gullen. He's the Technical Services Manager, Western Prairies for New Farm. You can't go far without having a discussion on resistant weeds, herbicide-resistant weeds in Western Canada, specifically kochia. So how has New Farm been working on solutions to help farmers navigate the kochia and greater herbicide resistance challenge?
So New Farm's been working really hard on combating herbicide resistance for a long time, and something we did recently was rediscovered a lost herbicide in the process that we coined Duplosan. So Duplosan is a Group 4 herbicide active, a systemic good Group 4 herbicide active. The most exciting part for Western Canada is kochia is one of these 8 herbicide-resistant weeds that Duplosan is still controlling. If you want more information on Duplosan or Oxbow and how they can help manage resistant weeds in your field, you can always go to newfarm.ca/Duplosan. That's Duplosan.
At Vaterstad, we aim to be the world's leading partner for outstanding emergence. We're doing that through innovative tillage, planting, and seeding equipment that's optimized for your field conditions and soil types. We also offer industry-leading capacities to help you get the job done in shorter windows of time. It's all designed to give your crop the best start possible so you can maximize yields. Vaterstad, we look forward to growing together.
And we take the Rapid Fire to Brownsville, Ontario. The Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. We're talking to Kevin Buchner. Hey, Kevin, how's it going?
Pretty good. You, Shaun?
Hey, man, pretty good. Okay, what's happened on the farm this week?
We're just trying to get the last little bit of manure out. The ground froze up, so we were able to get out onto the field, but kind of got mushy, so we had to quit. And then just some year-end billing, kind of wrap things up to keep the accountant happy.
Yeah. Happy accountant, happy life? Is that the saying?
Well, it definitely keeps the government off your back, that's for sure.
Well, and who wants the government chasing you around? Indeed. So based on kind of where you are, are you working on some of the planning for 2024 yet?
A little bit. We're looking at getting fertilizer all booked and ordered, and then seed's been ordered. So we have the cropping plan all set in place, but it's only as good as the day you write it. I'm sure something will come up.
Yeah. How is that fertilizer pricing? Is it a little easier to handle this year, or still much more than you'd definitely like to be paying?
Well, it could always be cheaper, but yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than last year.
Oh, no kidding. Eh? And it needs to be, because we've seen definitely a retracement in some of the commodity markets, right? So it should be down lower.
Yep.
So what else is happening on the farm right now? You said you're doing some manure spreading, cleaning up, getting kind of ready for winter here. What else is going on?
We're kind of in the planning stages. We're going to transfer our dairy farm over from parlor to robots. So we've been doing a bunch of layout plans and everything, and then lining up builders and all that fun stuff.
Oh, you turn into a general contractor. That can be very, very stressful. What was kind of the main push to move from a parlor setup to go to robots? What was the push there?
So we milk 3 times a day, and I've been milking for 15 years, getting up at 1:30 in the morning every other morning. So I think we're just kind of get worn out from milking that much. And employees, like we got some great employees right now, but we always have some turnaround, so it gets harder to find good help.
So you talk about that. The milking 3 times a day is very intense. So you're getting up at 1:30, you're milking, and then say it's 8 hours later, you're doing it again, and then 8 hours later, you're doing it again. Is that kind of how it stretches out?
Yeah. So 9:30, and then 5:30 is roughly when the other milkings are. The night ones we get high school kids to do, so that's kind of why we have to have a crazy one at 1:30 in the morning, just so we can get milking done for them in time.
Hard to have a life outside of the dairy barn when you're doing that, man.
Yeah, that's for sure. But we do have some good help on the farm, and it does make things easier.
Okay, so why milk 3 times and not twice?
We always found that it's probably close to 10% increase in production. So we try and push the cows a little harder than most people. So like we mix feed twice a day, we milk them 3 times a day, and we're just trying to get as much out of every single cow as possible.
Did you? Okay, so I'll ask you if you don't mind sharing. What robot system are you putting in?
We chose Mayerle.
Okay, they got some cool stuff. It's amazing, the robotics. Like you got the milkers, and then you got some of the feed pusher. You like the autonomy and robotics that can go into a dairy barn. It'll make a crop farmer jealous.
Yeah, it's come a long way from the first ones that were installed, that's for sure.
What do you think, hey, besides the fact that you don't have to get up at 1:30 in the morning, what do you think is going to be one of the other biggest changes with the installation of these robots?
That's kind of hard to say. Right now we're just trying to figure out, like, feeding, like managing the feed for them. Because that's going to be very different going from just everything in the TMR to then TMR and then the pellets in the robot and kind of balancing that out. So that's something that's going to be a really big change for us. So we'll have some learning curves, that's for sure. But we got some good help. Our nutritionist will be there, and our vet will have opinions too and help us out too.
Well, and I would imagine one of the big changes is going to be the data that you get off of those robots, right? Like you're going to turn into a bit of a data analyst. You're going to have a whole bunch of numbers at your fingertips to try to make some even improved production decisions, right?
Yeah, like it's crazy the amount of information they have per cow and everything, and just they have a value system and they like weigh which cow is the best. It's kind of handy to have that system.
Maybe make some of the culling easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, from a culling perspective, is there a percentage that you kind of run off of in terms of what you're culling?
Just kind of depends on our heifer inventory. Really, we've kind of overdone it with heifers lately. We've been cutting back. So we've been able to cut that culling way down compared to years before.
Yeah, have some of those numbers to part of that decision. You kind of take some of the emotion out of it a little bit, from one more year, right? That kind of scenario. Any big Christmas plans?
No, none really. Just there's
milking.
Always milking.
Just
cows,
milking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How long you been doing that at 1:30 in the morning?
So I'll be around 15 years, but like full time. But then I was always doing it when I was in high school and everything too. So I've been doing it for a while.
Okay, so what time would you be done milking when you get up at 1:30? What time? Like I'm curious about what your day looks like when you're doing that.
So usually I'm done around 7. Come in, get some breakfast, have a nap, and then depending if I got to do the new milking or not, I'm sometimes back out at 10, but usually it's a bit later than that, and it's like 11ish, and then finish up the chores there. And usually the day is done around 5 or 6. And then, like I said, we got good help, and we get the high school kids to do the night milking. But cropping always changes that as well.
Yeah, there's nothing like planting all day and then getting a couple hours of shut-eye and then going back out and milking again. It when you combine, you overlap all that, that's where you got to take care of yourself. That's crazy. Is it harder in the winter than it is in the summer? Because I would like the cold outside and then 1:30 in the morning. That just sounds awful.
Yeah. The nice thing is I'm not too far away from the farm, so it's just a 1-minute walk. But the nice thing with the winter is, we just don't have all the cropping and everything else on top of it. So it's kind of easier time in the winter.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, hey, Kevin, thanks a lot for joining us. Merry Christmas to you, and we'll talk to you in the new year, okay?
Yeah, you too, Sean. Merry Christmas.
I'll tell you what, if I was a dairy farmer, I'm putting a robot in. I'm looking under the mattresses, like in the nooks and crannies of my house. I am finding every dollar I possibly could to put a robot in. Getting up at 1:30 in the morning over that length of time. No, that gets your attention. All of a sudden it's like, yeah, maybe I don't want to set up that dairy barn. That's dedication and love of what you do indeed. Okay. Let's take a break, and we've got more of the Farmer Rapid Fire. When we come back, you're listening to RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word. Absolutely the best part of my day.
We are joined by the president of APAS. It is Ian Boxall. Okay, I want to hit on the report APAS commissioned in regards to looking at what farmers are paid for commodities, but those prices in relation to the escalation of food prices.
It's an education piece, is how I see it, right? I see it, we can educate the public on what actually is the farmer's share of what they buy at the grocery store shelf on these A products. But then I think it also gives the consumer the ability now to ask the question is, like, where's the rest of my money going? Who gets the rest? Who in the supply chain gets the rest of my grocery dollar? Now let's let the other sectors do their share and lay it out there so there's transparency in what the groceries are costing and where the money goes.
You found that even with the increase in the price of commodities, food prices actually jumped even higher.
There was no direct correlation between the increased price of commodities and the increased price of groceries.
Hey, really appreciate you joining us here, Ian. All the best to you, and thanks for having RealAg Radio here at the APAS AGM. And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire to Seaforth, Ontario. We're talking to Ethan Wallace. Hey, Ethan, how's it going?
Good, and how are you today, Shaun?
I'm doing pretty good. We've had a real run on dairy farmers here today. I'm looking at the lineup, and I think you're number 3. I got to ask you, how many times a day do you milk?
I don't, actually. We have Laylee robots, so the milkings never stop. I think on average on our farm we're running about 400 milkings a day.
Wow. Huh. Yeah. How long have you had the robots?
The A4s went in May of 2013, so just over 10 years now.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. I don't think I'd dairy farm any other way.
Well, we were just talking to Kevin Buchner, who is getting robots. They're just installing robots, and he's been waking up at 1:30 in the morning for 15 years, and he says, I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah, and that was part of the reason for us to put ours in. My shoulders and arms were starting to break down from getting kicked in the parlor, and just the lifestyle adjustments that allowed us with our children at the age they were. I was able to participate in their sports and coach their sports, things that I wouldn't have normally been able to do because I would have been in the parlor milking. So
yeah,
gave our family our lifestyle changed dramatically with the robots. So.
Yeah, cool stuff. What's happened on the farm this week?
I'm actually in Guelph at provincial board meetings this week.
Oh yeah, big time dude now on the executive of OFA.
Just little dude. Yeah, it's been a change for me and for our family, but quite enjoy the speaking for Ontario agriculture, or doing our best to speak for Ontario agriculture and promoting the issues that we have, and trying to assist senators in getting a very important bill passed without amendments. And unfortunately, we weren't as successful as agriculture had hoped we would be, but that's part of the game too, where we can't get everything, and we will do our best to make a positive impact on Ontario agriculture.
Yeah, the bill's really been neutered in many, many ways here. We've cut it down to 3 years in terms of for the sunset, and we've also eliminated heating of barns. And on the point of heating of barns, like why is that the mountain that the senators chose to die on? In the sense that, like, in the grand scheme of things, in the global emissions picture, what, like, those barns don't represent that much in terms of emissions. Like, why barns? No. I don't get it.
I think that's the question in agriculture today is, I think we put together, as agriculture in general, we put together a very good package on how it is affecting Canadian agriculture and the costs that were associated, and the fact that we have no viable alternatives. So it's not a consumption tax anymore; it's a punitive tax. And putting forward that information, and yet a few chose to push a very governmental view and have had an impact on the bill. And I read a tweet by Ben Lobb yesterday saying that the opposition will work hard to try and get the government to reverse those amendments and send it back to the Senate for review again. I wish I could say I think it'll happen. I don't know, and that onus falls on organizations like OFA, like CFA, like GFO to continue the work to promote what Ontario agriculture does, what Canadian agriculture does, and to show that we can be part of the solution without being taxed out of existence.
Yeah, it seems this is one of those topics where OFA, GFO, DFC, CAF, like everybody's on the same page on this, it seems. Now, I shouldn't say that. There may be a couple farm groups that aren't, but for the most part, this is really kind of brought a lot of people together that don't see eye to eye on all issues, right? This has really been a kind of a group en masse effort to try to make all this happen.
Absolutely. And I think it's a prime example of when we all have a common goal, and we don't necessarily all have to work the same to get there, but every one of our organizations has Canadian agriculture at heart, and speaking up and promoting and doing good, making a positive impact. And I think when we focus all our energy, we can have a tremendous impact. Unfortunately, there's times like this where we do focus all our energy. We have that common goal, we have the common stance, and we're still not able to push or to help government understand why they're approaching it from a improper angle, I guess. But again, that just sends further resolve back to our organizations to continue to stand up for Canadian agriculture and try to have that positive impact.
Well, you and I had a chance to grab a pint at the Grow Canada conference there going back a couple of weeks. Now, in this new on the executive at OFA, what are you kind of most looking forward to?
I think the conversations like this with you and your listeners, conversations with MPs and MPPs, industry people, helping spread the good news story that Ontario agriculture is, that Canadian agriculture is, and promoting that. I think here in Ontario, we've seen tremendous uptake of OFA's homegrown campaign and speaking to the voting population, speaking to the consumer, which is something that our organizations haven't necessarily done in the past. And I think we've seen tremendous results from that. And I think being part of that and continuing those conversations is absolutely what I'm most energetic about in the next year.
Very, very cool stuff. How's your 2024 planning going?
Seed is booked. Fertilizer is not. It got away from me there. Prices jumped. I'm hoping to see a plateau here in the spring. We'll see. We're lucky enough to have substantial amount of manure, so the fertilizer costs or fertilizer expense isn't going to be as large as it could be for someone without the opportunity to utilize manure. So, but we didn't get our wheat in, so it's causing some planting issues surrounding the cover crops that I use to feed my cattle, but we have some very good neighbors that are willing to work with us, so we'll be able to navigate that situation.
Didn't get
another year in farming.
Yeah, didn't get the wheat off, didn't get the wheat in because of moisture.
Yeah. I was in the middle of corn silage when the custom operator took our wheat off. By the time I got out of corn silage and I had the tractor available to put the wheat in, it started raining and then it never stopped. So, unfortunately, my wheat seed is still in a gravity wagon in the shed, and we'll utilize it next year. But such is farming, right? Like if we were successful 100% of the time and it was easy, everybody'd do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. Hey, Ethan, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you. Merry Christmas, and we'll chat with you again in 2024.
Awesome. Merry Christmas to you and your family too, Shaun, and thank you for giving me the opportunity.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to Tisdale, Saskatchewan. And we're talking, I think he's actually the mayor of Tisdale. It is Kris Marley. Kris, how's it going?
Good. How are you today?
All right, good. Are you the mayor of Tisdale?
I am not the mayor of Tisdale. I do not want that.
Yeah, no kidding. We were talking last week here on the Rapid Fire about getting involved in municipal politics. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested at all.
Why?
The only job sometimes I'd like to just have more gravel on my road.
Yeah, that's the problem. You'd have a whole bunch of people yelling at you to get more gravel on their road. You and everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, what's happened on the farm this week?
This week we're hauling a little bit of grain, cleaning seed. We got the seed cleaning plant's been running for about a month now. We have no snow up here in Northeast Saskatchewan, which is very rare for December.
Yeah.
And so we're still doing some field work. The cat and the hoe have been working steady for a couple of months, cleaning up some tree piles and rock piles and some old sloughs and a couple old yard sites that we farm around now. We're cleaning up. So, yeah, we've been busy doing those kind of jobs. We're, we got some maintenance going on in the shop as well. So, yeah, it's still busy, even though it's getting close to the middle of December. And, last week we were supposed to get 20 centimeters of snow and ended up with 3/4 of an inch of rain. It rained all day on December the 7th.
That's weird.
Never heard of it up in this country. We had water running down the ditches.
Do you have somebody, do you own your own track hoe to do that work?
Yeah, we do. We have a cat and a track hoe that we've had for quite a few years to do that. So yeah, the guys on the farm are doing all that work ourselves.
That's a fun job. It's like it takes you back to your sandbox days where you had your little hoe and you the levers. Yeah. It's fun to run it. Hey,
I think the guys that are doing that are having some fun doing that. So yeah, we've been mulching some trees up. We have a mulcher too, so cleaning up some of those tree rows so we can actually farm through them next year. So, but it's probably getting a little too frozen for that. So that job stopped about a week ago.
It's actually mind-boggling to watch somebody because there's using a track hoe with a grapple to pick up trees and dump them in a truck. That I could do that. It's the people that run those hoes and they're doing finishing work where they're scraping on angles and they're doing the really, really fine stuff. It is amazing to watch them. Yeah,
some of those guys have got a lot of skills. They've been doing it for a lot of years and have lots of practice.
I saw
that is not me.
No, me too. I saw on TV once. I don't know, it was like a forklift driving championship. It was crazy. It was amazing. It was hey, I'm pretty good running a forklift. I'm not that good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy what some of those competitions they have. They're pretty good.
I saw a boat yesterday on Instagram. I saw a boat docking championship.
Really?
Yeah.
They'll do anything to get viewers. Jeez.
The guy was pretty good. It was pretty good. That's crazy you don't have any snow. You got to be a little bit concerned about that. Obviously, that's really taken a cut out of your sledding time, but it's also probably a little bit concerning on the moisture front.
It is actually. We have soil probes scattered throughout the farm here, and when we pulled all those probes out just prior to freeze up at the end of October, most of our fields are drier today than they were at the end of 2021 after what everyone thought was the big drought year. And we're drier today than we were there. We have some fields that are less than a half an inch of moisture in the top 100 centimeters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're quite dry. So yeah, not having any snow is a bit concerning. I mean, it really comes down to obviously the rainfall. I mean, we can make all that up with rain through the growing season, but yeah, normally we bank on a bit of moisture from the snow melt in the spring and the runoff to fill dugouts, and there's a lot of dugouts that are pretty low here in this country because we've been dry kind of 3 years in a row now. And so, yeah, missing the snow for the moisture side and for the recreation side, there's a lot of us like to do some snowmobiling in the winter, and if it's going to be winter, we might as well have snow. But yeah, this year it looks like we're going to have a brown Christmas. Which will be, I think, 98 was the last year that we had a brown Christmas here.
Really? Well, that's quite a while. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah,
it's a regular thing in Lethbridge. So we're more like when's the last time we had a white Christmas?
And here, like normally, like I said, the last 4 or 5 years we've had a foot of snow by the Remembrance Day weekend. So this is quite an anomaly this year to not have any snow, but it does make it for hauling grain and moving seed around, and we picked all our grain bags have been picked up already, so that's a job that we don't have to do when it does snow. So for those kind of jobs, this has been an awesome fall that way, and it's been warm. We haven't had any cold weather yet either. So.
Yeah, that's been really, really mild. It's we're off to a odd sort of start here to what we'll call winter based on what the calendar says, but it definitely doesn't feel like that outside.
No, that's right.
Depending on where you are. How's planning going for 24?
Pretty good. I mean, all the crop plans are in place. Some of our, new seed varieties are getting in place already. Canola was ordered, fertilizer. Most of it's on the farm already. Some of it's still waiting for some of it. So yeah, planning's it's done its first round. I'll probably look at some of the crops I'm planting and maybe change some things up based on where commodity prices look like they're going or demand is going, come another month or two down the road. But kind of plans are all in place already. And so, yeah, I feel pretty good about next year, other than like we talked about earlier, a little bit more moisture in the ground would be. Yeah. We'll be looking for that for a good start anyway. So.
You're a seed retailer, so any insight into what's any sort of crop type that's kind of hot, people are calling a lot about, or is that not really started yet?
It has been really slow this fall. Typically, we'd have a lot more interest in seed or pre-purchases done by customers, and this year has been just really slow. There's nothing that I would say is hot. And nothing that's getting called about. There's a few orders on the books, but it is way behind normal at this time.
Why is that?
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of thinking a little bit, commodity prices have been almost on a downward slide the last month and a half to 2 months, with a couple blips here and there. But I think a lot of guys maybe haven't made a full decision on what they're going to grow next year, or maybe on a variety that they're of say a wheat or a barley that they might grow. But there's not a lot of new crop pricing that's been attractive. So that hasn't really got guys kind of off their couch to say, okay, I'm going to grow a bunch of barley next year. I'm going to grow a bunch of wheat or oats. So yeah, just orders are slow, and it seems to be kind of the norm in the seed retail community. It's kind of the same story for everybody. It's just a slow fall that way.
You mentioned the cleaning plant's fired up. It's got to be kind of nice to be cleaning seed with some milder temperatures, though, because a lot of these seed plants, it can be about 10 degrees Celsius colder in the plant than it is outside. So it's not too bad right now.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty nice for that, and it's allowed us to get all our pulses done early in nice weather, and they just handle a lot better when it's 0 or +2 or 3 instead of -15 or 20. And, stuff runs better, less breakdowns, augers start easy, trucks start easy, all that stuff. It's not hard being outside on these days. It's +3 here today. So it's a beautiful day for December the 13th.
Wow. Quite unusual. Quite unusual.
Yeah, quite unusual.
Hey, Kris, Merry Christmas to you, and we'll chat with you again in the new year, okay?
Yeah, you bet. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well.
We've got more coming up on the Farm Rapid Fire. You're listening to RealAg Radio, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
FP Genetics relentlessly brings innovative new seed genetics to Canadian farms, ensuring growers, breeders, and farmers are supported and viable. Being a valued partner on your farm for decades, you can expect the continuous pursuit of the best genetics. Visit fpgenetics.ca to discover FP's strong portfolio of wheat, durum, barley, oats, peas, and rye, or contact your local FP seed dealer or territory manager to discuss your certified seed strategy specific to your region.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to Sturgeon County, Alberta. And we're talking to everyone's favorite beef farmer, dairy farmer, potato grower. It's Jeff Nonay. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Well, maybe not individually, but if you put it all together, I don't have a lot of competition in that space. Doing good.
Now,
you?
I'm doing good. Usually I ask people, hey, what's going on the farm this week? But with you, I think I better ask, what's not happening on the farm this week?
Well, it's winter, so we are a little bit more quiet. But, cheese, this is the busiest month for cheese. Our restaurants and our stores are all amping up for Christmas and kind of capturing that holiday season stuff. So that is a little crazier busy. Beef quietens down a little bit as everything's been killed pretty much earlier, and people are going to run out their inventory and take a breather in January. I don't know if anybody knows what to do with marketing grain. Sitting with bins full and waiting for these markets to stop going sideways.
For the 23 crop, you got most of it unsold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not price in, and that's a function of historically super aggressive. Like I've had 50 to 100% sold kind of off before it's harvested, and for the first time, I don't know how much we discussed it, but certainly 2021 was an absolute disaster up here for me. Didn't see 30% yields, couldn't fill contracts. So, and then prices take off. So that's kind of changed my risk profile or tolerance a little bit. And, just trying to navigate. I think high interest rates are having guys move grain a little bit in a different pattern to a degree. You'd have to think that that's an impact. Doesn't seem to be a problem moving it up here. Elevator space, if I pick up the phone, I can move a few loads, like to pull bin tops off and stuff like that. So there's opportunities to move grain. So that's positive. It's just navigating to see where prices are going to land. Wheat's a little bit stronger. Canola, I think, has upside, but, who knows? It certainly could continue to slide. And news up here too, I don't know, like it's not a direct early impact, but our Cargill, Alberta terminal that I've hauled grain to my entire life is, they announced they're closing that down entirely. So,
why?
The newer, bigger, faster. I don't know internally. I think location and dealing with regulations, and right in the middle of the city there, kind of just between St. Albert and Edmonton. It's an old facility, but man, it had capacity to blend grain like nothing else. And the managers there, Marty made a career out of helping farmers blend like 15% canola and kind of the old grain elevator coffee shop, right? One of those old setups where they moved efficiently enough, but man, there was a long line of farmers, and typically you'd have time for a cup of coffee. That doesn't seem to happen at the new places. They're quicker and more efficient, and nobody really wants to do that anyway. So.
Yeah, I can remember as a kid on the seed farm, all the one axle trucks that would come in, and some people picking up seed even in pickup trucks. And I remember it would be like 20 trucks deep. And it was that people would come in for coffee. They'd visit. As a young kid, I'd walk up and down the line talking to people and catching up on how seeding was going. And then by the time we got out of it in 2018, it kind of was. It changed. It was only semis that rolled in, right? It just was different. You didn't get the same kind of connection. And a lot of times it wasn't the farmer driving the semi. So it's, times definitely changed. Those old, not even just the old elevators, but some of these even more less modern, new handling facilities, they're like, things change quickly.
Well, I think one of the things, those old bin like silos that were, every space in between those little, triangular spaces in between all held grain. And man, they could take anything and kind of stuff a little bit of grain here or there and blend it in later and roll it through. And they're not built the same anymore. And, systems get more efficient. And that is a kind of an end of an era. So for us, Cargill predominantly is going to be pulling canola to their crush plant in Camrose and no more access for us in that Cargill space right here to sell wheat and barley and other grains. Yeah. Not as much, but it's been filled in over the years, so it's not like we're lacking capacity, and I think that's maybe part of it too.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about the cheese. With your cheese business and beef, you're doing like to the restaurant trade. You're focused on the consumer. Any of the economic situation, has that impacted any of that business, or has it been rather stable?
Oh, and it's finding where we're at. So beef, we've been around forever. Less of a premium for us. So typically you want a bit of a brand premium, and that helps for sure when the market is softer. When it shot up here over $4, it was really hard to capture that. And then we just contemplate where we roll forward from here. There's some opportunities and some interest out there, but every person we deal with, whether it's a larger, grocery store that thinks they want to get into it, it's a complex system. So we're hanging on, and there's a couple of us in the game up here. It's a very interesting and worthwhile venture to have that tight of a brand and that close of a connection to, the restaurant, the chefs, the people coming in to enjoy the meal. So that's worthwhile. Financially, not so much. It's a grind, and it's not as efficient as the big guys, and you can't compete with the Costcos of the world. So, at this phase of that type of a venture, it's tight, and there's lots of people looking to get into it. Cheese, same kind of story. We've been in it long enough. The quality is known, and the focus for us is to just stick to that game and not move to trying to use, a protein concentrated milk or a powder to try and boost yields or to try and compete on cranking out volume. We really have kind of honed in the quality on every variety of cheese that we offer, and there's going to be a premium that goes along with that. And, in the new year, that's going to reflect where the business has to go. And that'll determine whether it's going to be successful or not, because we've been in it long enough now to know that we're not going to compete on the store shelf with other cheddars or, we need to be different. We need to have higher quality and have consumers know that. So, we did reach out and had, a good opportunity with a friend of ours to present us in the farmers market. And St. Albert's got the largest outdoor farmers market in Western Canada.
Really?
Yes, they do. Wow. Ton of vendors. That's been spectacular, right? Like that is a great place to get your product well known. And, you just kind of take small steps and keep going.
You got your planning done for the 24 crop season yet?
We got 600 acres of winter wheat in the ground.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. I've got a very aggressive grain manager. We're no surprise to you in our conversations. I think there's room for some interesting new things. We have enough experience growing pea canola together that I think that's a very viable option, from the economic side and from a soil health side of things. And we're just going to lean into that a little bit and try and do, work that soil health, environmental, keep things, costs under control side of things and figure out how to separate peas from canola efficiently. That's my winter project.
What are you doing there?
Well, we played around with it. I don't know. I've got some elevators that might try it. I got to do a little more research into a company in Saskatchewan that specializes in that and just pick how complex or how simple we want to do it. We want volume. We're probably running 30% peas, 25, 30% peas and the rest canola. And we really just need to separate the two. So two larger streams of grain coming out, which challenges the traditional grain cleaning system. And, we don't want to pay $1 a bushel either. So we want to kind of get ourselves into something where we can screen it off reasonably well and shouldn't have an issue. We did 80 acres last year. So have some experience with 3,000 bushels this year. We've got significantly more than that. So we'll have to get our system dialed in.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Well, hey, Jeff, always an interesting conversation. You always there's one thing about you that wheel is always turning. You're always challenging yourself to think about new opportunities. I love it. Honestly, man, Merry Christmas to you. We'll talk to you in the new year, okay?
You bet. Merry Christmas.
We've got one more discussion coming up on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground. We are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other Real Ag personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture. And welcome back to RealAg Radio for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And we're joined right now by Pioneer agronomist from Eastern Ontario. It is Paul Hermans. Hey, Paul, great to have you back on the show, man.
Great to be here, Sean. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Okay. So lots happening. Obviously, corn harvest. We're trying to wrap it up slowly but surely. Interesting piece of data I wanted to ask you about. A new record when it comes to corn yield. And this is in the NCGA's Big Corn Challenge south of the border in the U.S. Dave Hula has done it again. He has broken a new record. Astonishing. What was the final number? It was over 600 bushels.
Yeah, it was 623.84, Sean.
Is that what you had on your farm? Were you close to that, Paul?
Well, we got close to 300 bushels. I missed it on 6 bushels with a customer in a plot. So almost halfway there, Sean, but not quite 623. That's amazing. Just amazing.
What does one have to do to get the corn plant to yield 623 bushels?
I think a lot of it obviously comes down to environment and soil type where he is. Because if you look at Dave overall, he'll say, obviously his farm's not yielding that, but you listen to Dave, I heard him a few times talk and some of the information he puts out. He walks fields a lot. He's constantly out there looking at it, seeing what the crop's like, and then decides what's the next management practice that he can put into that crop to take it to the next yield. And he always talks about, don't have a bad day for corn. Always want to have a great day, and that's going to help to the yield. So, yeah, he's an amazing guy. Tries different things, too. I think that's one key thing that we can all learn from.
Yeah, the importance, it's interesting, when I talk to a different crop, but potato growers, they frequently tell me I am in my field every day. It's interesting that we don't do that with some of the other crops. And obviously, it's one thing to be in your fields a lot. It's another thing to actually make decisions and do something as a result of what you're seeing. And some farmers say to me, you know what, I don't want to be in it every day. I want, because I won't see the changes. So, I might do once a week as opposed to every day or once every 2 weeks. Everybody has their theory, but I think the frequency does matter here.
Well, for sure. And it's if you take a look at a corn crop, there's probably 4 key growth stages. At least want to be in there those key times because it can still make a management decision. So that's, early on when the corn's 4 or 6 leaf stage, tassel time, at planting time too, and right afterwards taking a look at emergence, those kind of things. And I think you can learn from that a lot, but then take that and then plan for, next year for 2024. What did you pick up from that and kind of move ahead?
Yeah, for sure. We got the Ontario Ag Conference coming up. It's the first week of January, so it's always like one of those situations where we go through the holiday season. We say Happy New Year, and then bam, we're back into learning. I'm looking forward to this year's event.
Same here, and it's start the year off right. The Ontario Ag Conference. I'm in Eastern Ontario. We're going to go to Kempville on the 16th, and looking forward to that. And then within our Pioneer group, we have the 23rd of January, a full week down in the U.S. So it's just, I look forward to January, February. What came out of the research? What can I take out of that and bring back to customers? And hopefully, growers listening on here are going to partake in some of this because it's a great learning opportunity.
Yeah. So for somebody like you, you see high value in like we always talk about from a farmer's perspective, like new learning and applying, different tactics and strategies and practices and that kind of stuff. But for you as an agronomist, you also see the value in that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And we're setting up our agronomy plots for the 2024 growing season. Usually do some of the similar things, corn population, that kind of stuff, but we're going to look at some biologicals this year. I'm going to do a little bit on soybean population, planting dates, different things. And it's all comes back to what customers are telling us, growers. Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And if you hear more of the themes, try that out locally and learn and go from there.
Yeah, because we're always learning. There's always new stuff. Like, research changes. Right? Like I can remember going to Ontario Ag Conference back in like 2010 when we called it SWAC at the time, right? In Ridgetown. And I remember it was Fred Bello was speaking from the US. Is it Indiana University?
The 7 Wonders, I think it probably was. Or whatever.
Yeah. And we were talking about 300 bushel corn. And then it was like 400 bushel corn. And now look at us. Like we just talked about Hula. He's at 623. It's really, really interesting how we continue to push and advance the yield and try to do it economically. That's the other part of it, right? Because that's what the farmer will always say is, okay, yeah, like to get those high yields, what was the cost attached to the yield to get there? And did it make financial sense?
No, for sure. You've always got to put that financial aspect to it. But I think it's rather than trying to hit the home run, can we do a whole bunch of little things a little bit better and get there at the end of the day? It's attention to the little details of every little point, I think, Shaun, that's going to make the difference. And I know that sounds maybe a little, pie in the sky, but, don't have that one hit wonder.
Yeah.
Look at all aspects of the farm. And if I can increase 10 things 1%, that's a 10% gain, right?
Yeah.
If I'm looking for that one thing to do 10%, it's harder to get to.
Yeah, during the commercial break, you threw out the tagline, which I think is really cool. Right product on the right acre, and it is about those incremental changes and adjustments. It's hard to find like that big swing, silver bullet, moonshot. We chase the moonshots, and we can also strike out, right? So a lot of people will tell you that it's about those, it's that Kaizen, what is it? Kaizen theory where it's like incremental changes, right? That's where you really will probably get the biggest benefit.
No, for sure. And that's where I think, the winter time, we all kind of slow down, but more desk time, sitting on the computer, looking at information, plot data, stuff off the combine, yield data, and really jumping into it. And lots of people out there to help and make better decisions going forward.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, quickly before we wrap up here, any big Christmas plans?
No, just I think, honestly, Shaun, with the family, play some board games, do some puzzles, relax, visit family, and just a bit of downtime because, man, once January rolls around, we're right back at it.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds so nice and relaxing. Hey, Paul, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire, and all the best to you. Thanks a lot.
Merry Christmas, Shaun. Thanks.
Great stuff. Great Farmer Rapid Fire here today. This has been awesome. A big shout out to Pioneer Seeds Canada for being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Remember, go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more about when we talk about right product, right acre, make sure you're checking out pioneer.com/Canada to find out some of those answers. Thanks everybody for getting real and getting connected with Real Ag Radio. We'll of course chat again tomorrow. Cheers everybody.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the RealAg Radio podcast, brought to you by the BC Centre for Agritech Innovation at Simon Fraser University, your go-to for advancing agritech. Ready to elevate your farm business? Achieve the productivity and profitability you're looking for with Agritech Development Program. Google SFU Agritech Innovation to learn more.